Hey, this is the coach from the Coach and Cole Show, and you're listening to the Coach's Corner. You can find us weekly on Blog Talk Radio or on demand on iTunes and on TuneIn. We've got to move on. It's time to step into the Coach's Corner.
We couldn't do diddly poo offensively. We couldn't make a first down. We couldn't run the ball. We didn't try to run the ball. We couldn't complete a pass. We sucked. The second half, we sucked.
Mike, why are you in such a bad mood?
What do you care? Okay? If you were 2-7, you'd be in a bad mood too. What next?
You play to win the game.
Hello? You play to win the
game. All right, Coach's Corner, August 9th. Coach and Cole Show, we are live and we are prime time. And this week, I'm going to change it up a little bit, right? Because I normally talk coaching stuff and whether it's something good somebody's done in coaching or something bad, and I kind of shed some light on that. But this week, enough is enough for me, right? I mean, and what I want to talk about this week is Colin Kaepernick and his current situation. And I know we've discussed Kaepernick on the show in the past, and just about every major media outlet has at least mentioned him at some point this week, most notably after Miami signed Jay Cutler. We talked Cutler earlier on the show. And Cole, you and I have voiced our opinions already a few times on the situation. But the other day, I came across something on the Facebook, on good old Facebook. And it really struck a chord with me. And to be quite honest with you, and you know this, right? I mean, it angered me. Like, it honestly got me mad, what I read about the situation. And it was a post from one guy that was bashing the notion of this whole thing with protesters that are, quote-unquote, being led by Spike Lee, who are standing up for Kaepernick, and they're going to show up to the league offices, et cetera, et cetera. And we can get into that part later if you want in a minute, Cole, in a minute or so, Cole. But if, as I clicked the comments on his post, because I saw the post and then I clicked into view comments, whatever. And I began to see some of the other comments, and they were reading along the lines of, like, if he was good enough, he would be on a team already. Things like that. And
dumb.
Yeah. First of all, if you say that, you either A, have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, or you have other issues about the man and you defer to that because it sounds good, right? I mean, you have something.
Because you can't be honest.
Right. You cannot be honest. Yeah, you have to say, well, he's just not good enough. Okay? And Cole, I shouldn't get that worked up about one person in the entire world's opinion, right? I mean, what does his opinion really mean to me? But to me, like the whole conversation that I saw, and for this one blurb, right, it represented this whole lot of, like, opinions in the world about the situation, because you see it here or there on social media, you hear somebody say it, or you run into your buddy and he's like, yeah, he's not good enough anyway, whatever, right? So to me, it, like, represented all of this at one time, because I'm reading this, and it caught me at the right time where it really angered me, right? So let me put this into a little bit of perspective for you right now, right? 59.2 completion percentage. The average completion percentage in the NFL, I think, is around 60.5, last I checked, right? Okay, so 59.2 completion percentage for Kaepernick last season. He had a 16-4 touchdown to interception ratio. So if we compare that to Jay Cutler, who we spit out some numbers earlier, Cole, you spit out some numbers on Cutler earlier, but he just got a $10 million deal. We already talked about this. He had a just barely lesser completion percentage, 59.1, but his touchdown to interception ratio was 4-5. So that's considerably worse than Colin Kaepernick. Now, I understand that Cutler has a long history in the league, and et cetera, et cetera. But let's remember that Kaepernick did this with a team that was absolutely terrible. They sucked. They were bad. They sucked. And they had management who wanted them to tank. They wanted them to lose games. They'll never come out and say that, but it's true. And it's Cole, you know it as well as I do. 49ers fans, you know it too. And there wasn't one game that was more apparent to this. And we've talked about this a little bit already, right? The night they had the eventual Super Bowl champion New England Patriots on the ropes. They were going to win that game for everything that we've seen in the first half. In that game, Kaepernick threw for 206 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Okay, and he did most of that damage in the first half. But those were his numbers against the team that won the Super Bowl, playing for a team that was pretty much the worst team in the NFL. And had the 49ers, Chip Kelly and the 49ers given him a chance, given the 49ers a chance, really, they would have won that game. In the second half, they shut it down. They're running the ball, clear passing situations, they're running the football. Okay, and you and I were talking to each other during that game. We're tearing out our hair because we had some investment with that because we had Kaepernick in some fantasy stuff and whatever. But that was clear to me that they were tanking that game. They were throwing that game.
Yep.
Because the play calling was obvious. It was bad. And I don't know, do people forget like he is only a few years removed from leading his team to the Super Bowl? Like that wasn't that long ago.
I think so.
He's not good enough. He was just in the Super Bowl. And I want to read what Richard Sherman just said. He said this on August 2nd, and I think it's spot on. And this is what he said, and I quote, "For you to say you have to check with sponsors and fans because this guy took a knee and made a statement. Now, if you told me this guy threw 8 pick sixes last year and played like a bum, had no talent, that's one thing. But Ryan Fitzpatrick, Ryan Mallett, or whoever is playing for the Jets right now, whoever is starting for the Jets is terrible, have jobs. You're telling me fans would rather you lose and put a worse player out there because a guy took a stand? That's where it's troublesome to me." 100% agree. 100% agree. And Cole,
my thing with that
is,
and he's talking about the Ravens, because the Ravens put out this, however they did it, but they asked the fans how they felt about if they were to sign Kaepernick. And, I mean, you don't do that for any other player. The Cowboys didn't do it for Hardy, like domestic violence and gun charges and whatever he had. They didn't ask the Cowboys fans if, like, hey, should we sign this guy? He's got legal problems. Or Ray Rice. The Ravens didn't ask him about that. Or John Brown, the punter of all people. The Giants back John Brown more than they back Odell Beckham Jr. And he has domestic violence charges against him, but nobody votes on that, but you got to vote on this guy for some reason.
Yeah. And we talked about all these other guys that have been signed, no-name quarterbacks, right? I mean, we don't know who these people are. And they're getting signed to contracts to play quarterback in the NFL. And there's probably now over 30 quarterbacks that have been signed in the NFL over Kaepernick this offseason, preseason, whatever. And it's honestly, it's ridiculous. But this conversation continued, right, on Facebook that I'm talking about, which really got me going. And this is what angered me more than – because I was just going to – I commented on there, right? And I was just going to talk about football. I wanted to keep it to football because clearly this guy is good enough to play football in the NFL. It's like I don't know how you can honestly believe that he's not, okay? But this is what the guy said. He says, and I'm not going to name any names here. This is what he said. He doesn't, and I quote, talking about Kaepernick, he doesn't make a very good backup, and he is absolutely not a leader. His team didn't play for him, and everyone's job is on the line. If you want a distraction, you have Owens, Moss, Kaepernick. If you don't want a distraction, you sign Cutler. What? I mean, that's just idiotic. I mean, that is just so stupid. But this comment represents how a portion of people in this country currently feel on this situation. He put Colin Kaepernick in the same discussion, in the same category as Terrell Owens and Randy Moss. Unbelievable. That's unbelievable to me. Okay? He put a guy like Randy Moss, who had drug trouble, quit on his team, openly admitted to quitting on his team, said, I play when I want to play. Multiple occasions. He ran over a parking attendant because he was mad because he got a parking ticket, amongst all kinds of other off-field stuff. All right? And then Terrell Owens, who just completely lived to create controversy, stirred the pot within the locker room, a guy who was not a lot of practice, so he just held a press conference and had his own practice in his front yard. Created a huge scene, huge debacle, had his crazy agent say all these outlandish stuff. And he compares those two guys to Colin Kaepernick because he decided to take a knee during the national anthem. And that's it. He took a knee during the national anthem. That's it. But for you people, that puts him in the same category as Randy Moss and Terrell Owens. Makes him not a leader. That is just seriously unbelievable. Unfrickin' believable. And a lot of people feel that way, Cole. A lot of people. It's not just this guy, right? And that's what I got so fired up about it, and I'm fired up about it now. And, like, people, hello, this guy won an award last year. He won the Len Eschmont Award. DJ's team honor the 49ers have, which is voted on by the players, by his teammates, who apparently you don't believe thought he was a leader, yet they voted on him to win this award. He won the award for being a courageous and inspirational player. Okay, so you're telling me that this man, Colin Kaepernick, is in the same category as Randy Moss and Terrell Owens. Just ridiculous. And then he goes on and says some other things like, we won't have to see his disgusting behavior this season because don't worry, none of these teams are going to touch him. Again, Cole, you alluded to it before, right? How is what Colin Kaepernick did in any way, shape, or form in the same conversation as what Ray Rice did, as what Greg Hardy did, okay, as what Adrian Peterson did, Randy Moss even. Like,
I know we have to kind of wrap this up, and I don't mean to tell you to wrap it up, but I don't represent everyone in the military. Me being in the military, I'm just one person. For me, like, if you're doing a silent protest, isn't that kind of the reason, like, we have what people have fought for in America? For the right to do that? To me, I mean, and to me, it's a song and a flag. It represents what you want it to represent. And for him in that moment and during this protest, and for a lot of people, it doesn't mean what it should mean. It doesn't mean the same thing for everyone. And he's bringing that to light, saying we should have it mean the same thing for everyone.
Exactly.
I don't get it.
Me neither. The man,
and the fact that they don't want to take him as a backup, but they'll sign him as a starter. That makes no sense at all. Just so everyone knows, like, he's not good enough to be your backup, but you'll have him as your starter.
I mean, honestly, he protested something in a nonviolent way, and a matter of fact, in a silent way.
That people didn't know for a couple of weeks until reporters finally asked him about it.
Exactly. Yeah, he never said a word. Media made this what it is. And that's what's sad about it, right? The media made this what it is. He didn't come out and say why he was doing it. He did it for himself. He believed in his own way. That was how he was representing what he believed in and what he did. Because the media spun it the way they spun it, it became what it is. And now this guy is blackballed. There's no way you can say that he's not being blackballed.
And by the way, he's the number 17 in jersey sales this year so far, and he's not even on a team. So it goes to show how many people actually care. And his jersey sales, the money that he gets from it, he donates that. So he's a terrible person.